Hello, welcome back to Seed Media. Today we're looking at PHP variables, comments, and the operators that exist in the PHP programming language. We're going to get started with the PHP variables, and I'll quickly go through that so we can head over to comments and then to the operators. So what are variables? Variables are basically housing objects or housing materials, as the same in any programming languages. They are used to store values, and in PHP, variables are declared using the $sign and the name of the variable. Now, variables can be named three different ways. You can use all lowercase, you can have an underscore in between it to separate the names, or your naming convention can be done using the camel case, where you have the first letter of the first section of this variable name as lowercase and the second section of the variable name to start with the uppercase, as you can see, first name. Variables in PHP are loosely typed in the sense that a single variable can be used to house multiple values. It can be used to house multiple values of different data types, in the sense that the same variable first name can contain a name, let's say seed media, and we can echo that out, echo first name. We refresh that and we still get the value seed media, and at runtime this same value can house an integer and it won't throw an error. So that's what it means for variables to be loosely typed, and PHP is a loosely typed language. Comments in PHP are simply descriptive lines of code that describes the immediate or a set of codes that will be written in your text editor. Comments are ignored at runtime. For example, you can have single line comments represented by 2 forward slashes, enter your first name, and at runtime these comments will be ignored. It's not going to be executed as part of a series of code or a part of the code that we're working with. You can also have multiple line comments in PHP represented by 1 forward slash asterisk followed by another asterisk and a backward slash. All codes that are written within this section of the website will be ignored at runtime. The benefits of multi-line comments that allows you to write a larger number of text without using multiple forward slashes. The next section we're going to be looking at is the operators in PHP. And according to php.net, which is the official website of the PHP programming language, the operators in PHP can be grouped into about 12 categories. But in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at about 5 of the operators available. If at any point of our tutorial or at later videos we discover that we need to work with an operator that we didn't initially explain under this section of the video, I will take time out to explain it in that video. So the first operator we're going to be looking at is the assignment operator. And in the assignment operator, the left operand is giving the value of the right operand, in the sense that the value of x, as you can see on this second stage here, is assigned the value of y, and the assignment operator is carried out using a single equal sign. So from the first value, we can see that the variable y is assigned the value of 20, meaning that 20 has been assigned into y, and variable x is now assigned the value of variable y, meaning that x would now house the value that is stored within variable y, meaning that x is also equal to 20. So if we say x equals to x plus y and we echo it out and save it, you can guess the value. That means we're going to have 40 as the value, because x is equals to 20 and y is equals to 20. And when assigning that value to the value of x, then we say x equals to x minus y, you can guess what value we're going to get. If we say x equals to x times y, you can guess what value we're going to get. And if we say x equals to x divided by y, you can also guess what value we're going to get. We're going to say x equals to x modulus y, which returns a remainder of when x is divided by y. So you can guess the values. I'm going to save it, refresh, and you can see the values. So we have 20, 400, 20, and 0, meaning that the initial value was assigned to 40. That's 20 plus 20, 40. We came down here and took 20 out of x, which is now 40, and we got 20 back. So now if x is 20, we multiply that by another 20, we get 400. We take 400, which is now the current value of x, and divide that by 20, we get back 20. Now x modulus y, which is 20 divided by 20, has a remainder of 0. So the next operator we're going to be looking at is the arithmetic operator. Even though we're looking at the assignment operator, we've already taken out time to look at the arithmetic operator, and right from the plus sign, minus sign, multiplication, division, and the modulus sign, all these are categorized as under the arithmetic operator. We only use them to explain how values are assigned to variables using the assignment operator, which is represented by the equal sign. Arithmetic operator that we've not taken a look at, which is the exponential arithmetic operator, we can simply create 2 other variables. Let's call this a and give it the value of 2 and declare another variable called b and give it a value of 4. And for the exponential operator, we simply say a double asterisk, meaning that it's going to be raised to a power of the value of b. We save that and echo that and see what the additional value we get, 16. So that's basically the last arithmetic operator that we've not looked at, and the 2 asterisks represents the exponential operator. So basically the plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, and the exponential operators are all what we categorize as the arithmetic operator. So we're looking looking at the comparison operator, and to explain the comparison operator, we're making use of a special function in PHP called VERDOM. If we head over to the PHP manual, it says VERDOM dumps information into variables, and I think it was included in PHP 4 and went on in PHP 5 and 7. It says that the function displays structured information about one or more expression that includes its type and value. So that's you can take time out and go through the other aspects of the VERDOM function or other functions in PHP that you might want to know, making use of PHP.NET. So let's get started. Okay, so the first comparison operator we're going to be looking at is the double equal sign, or basically the double equal sign or the equal comparison operator. And what this does is that it evaluates the left operand with the right operand. That's to say that the left value with the right value is compared. So if the left value is equal to the right value, it's going to return true, and if it's not equal, it's going to return false. Generally, if you're having a little bit of programming, you're going to think that this is a string, so it's actually not going to be equal to an integer. But because PHP does type conversion in the sense that it takes string values that have numeric character within them and convert them into numbers, so this is actually going to return true. So if we save that and refresh the page, we're going to see that the Boolean value as a result of this is true. The second comparison operator we're looking at is a triple equal sign, also known as identical equal. And what this does is that it doesn't just compare values, it also compares the type. And type coercion is actually not going to take place in this case, so the value is expected to return false because it's going to compare this as a string and this as an integer, and an integer is not identically equal to a string. Refresh and we get false. Okay, the next two we're going to be looking at is the not equal to, and it can be represented with an exclamation mark and an equal sign, or the less than, greater than brackets. And it's actually telling us now that VERDOM string 2 is not equal to 2 and VERDOM string 2 not equal to. It's basically the same thing. So it's a thing of preference depending on how you prefer to write it. So let's save that, refresh, and you can see it's equal to false. The next comparison operator we're looking at is the not identical. Just like the earlier identical equal to that we looked at, this one is a not identical, and it actually takes comparison between not just the value or the data but also the type. So if we save this and refresh, it also equals to true because this is not identical to this, so it returns a true value. The greater than sign takes the value of the left operand and the value of the right operand and check if the left operand is greater than the right operand, and if the left operand is greater than the right operand, it returns a true value. But if it's less than or equal to the right operand, it returns a false value. Let's refresh that, and you can see that 2 is not greater than, it's actually equal to. So the next one is less than, and it's basically just the opposite of the greater than sign. So if we save this, is 2 less than 5. Yes, 2 is less than 5, so it returns a true value. So it's greater than or equal to. So it doesn't just check if it's greater than, it also takes an alternative comparison, which is the value on the left operand, or is the value on the left equal to the value of the right, or is it greater than? If any of these conditions are met, it will return a true value. The less than or equal to does the same thing as the greater than or equal to. It also takes two value comparisons, checking if the left value is less than or if it's equal to the right value. If any of these conditions are met, as earlier stated with the greater than, it returns a true value. So this is actually called the spaceship operator, and what this does is that it makes comparison with the left and right operand, or the left and right value. Now, if the left value is equal to the right value, it returns a 0. If the left value is less than the right value, it returns a -1, and if the left value is greater than the right value, it returns +1. I've never made use of the spaceship operator, but if you take time out and look at the documentation, and probably as you write your software, you might find a need for it. So next is the increment operator, used to increase or increment a numeric value by 1, and we have 4 variables declared A to D, all giving a numeric value of 10. And if we look at the first increment operator, which is the pre-increment, it increases the value of A, then returns the result to screen. So if we save this and refresh the page, we get the value 11, meaning that 10 stored in the variable A has been increased by 1 before being returned to screen. The next increment operator is the post increment operator, and what this does is that it returns the value before the increment takes place. So if we save this and refresh the page, we find out that 10 is still being returned regardless of the fact that it has been increased by 1. And that's followed by the pre-decrement operator that works exactly like the pre-increment operators. It reduces the value, or it decrements the value by 1, then returns the result to screen. As you can see, the value of C is now 9, and it's followed by the post decrement operator that returns the value before the numeric value is decremented or decreased by 1. So let's refresh the page and we have 10. Now if we were to go ahead and echo the value of B and D, which both represents the post decrement and post increment operator, we'll find out that the values has been affected. That's to say that B is now a value of 10 and D is now a value of 9. We'll find out that B has a value of 11 and D has a value of 9, meaning that post decrement and post increment actually took place, but because the value is returned before the action is carried out, we actually saw the initial value when we initially echoed out the post decrement variables. So the next operator is a string operator, and we've been making use of the concatenation operator without even knowing what it's called. So let's declare two variables. We have first name equal to seed, and we have last name equal to media, and we can echo this out by saying echo first name dot last name. Save that, refresh, and we have seed media. So that's basically the concatenation string operator, and it's just represented with a single dot that we've been making use of in previous examples without actually knowing what it's called. And we also have the concatenation assignment operator that takes the right operand and appends it to the left operand. Save that, refresh it, and we basically have the same thing, but it takes the value of the right operand and appends it to the value of the left operand. So if we were to echo out last name now, let's echo out a break first, and if we were to echo out last name now, we find out that it contains the both values of the first name and the last name, because the first name has been appended to it. So that's how the concatenation assignment operator works, unlike just the concatenation operator that just joins both strings together or both values together. So the next operator we're going to be looking at is the logical operator, and for that we have three variables declared A, B, and C, having values of true, false, and true respectively. And the first of the logical operators we're going to look at is the OR operator, and the OR operator can be represented in two ways, either using the word or two vertical bars. They both operate the same way, in the sense that if we refresh the page, we're going to have true because it returns true if either of the values passed through the logical operator is true. The only difference between the two logical OR representation is operator precedence. They're actually going to take a look at in a later video. Okay, next we have the AND logical operator, and it returns true only if both operands on the left hand side or right hand side are both true. So if we refresh that, we get the value of false because B is actually false regardless of the fact that A is true. And the next logical operator is the XOR, and the XOR returns true if either of the values is not true, and will return false if both values are true. For example, we can see that if we refresh this, we get true and false because A and C have a value of true, but A and B do not have values of true. B has a value of false while A has a value of true. And the last but not the least is the NOT operator, and the NOT operator returns the opposite of whatever value is stored within the variable or the operand. That's to say that if we have a variable with the value of true, it's going to return false, and if we have a variable with the value of false, it's going to return true. So you can actually take out time and go through every part of this lecture. You might actually decide to slow it down a little bit if I went too fast, or speed it up if I'm talking too slow. But most importantly, try and stick around because there are more videos to come on board. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I promise you your notification inboxes are not going to be spammed, and I'll see you at the next video. Thank you.